Well, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all. Before I go any further, I just want to make sure that you're aware of the captions down below to turn those on if you need them. Well, I'm Jeannie Kroll, the Executive Director of the Association of Assistive Technology Act Programs, or ATAP. On behalf of ATAP and its National AT Training and Technical Assistance Center called AT3, I'm thrilled to kick off the very first session of our Aging Peer Action Learning cohort. At ATAP AT3, we work every day to strengthen and connect Assistive Technology Act programs across the country, and this cohort is an example of that mission in action. Through our AT3 Center, we're focused on building capacity, sparking collaboration and partnerships, and turning shared learning into real-world impact. We are especially excited about this Aging Pal cohort because the timing couldn't be better. As more Americans age and more people age into disability, the role of assistive technology has never been more important, and I'm sure you guys all know. The topic of aging was intentionally selected as the next focus in our Peer Action Learning series because of the incredible opportunity to both build new partnerships and deepen existing ones between ATAC programs and the Aging Services Network, all in ways that are practical, meaningful, and action-oriented. Over the next 6 months, from today through June 26th, this cohort will bring together AT leaders, aging service professionals, and national experts to learn from one another, share what's working, tackle challenges, and explore new ideas. Together, we'll work to expand access to assistive technology for older adults, strengthen collaborations at every level, and ultimately increase the supports available to older Americans and their caregivers. Today's session, The Landscape of Assistive Technology in Older Adults, sets the stage for everything ahead. It's about building shared understanding, creating connections, and launching what we hope will be an engaging and energizing learning journey together. We're so glad you're here, and we truly appreciate the time, experience, and perspective each of you brings to this group. With that, I'm excited to hand things over to today's facilitator, Andrea Ruth, who will guide us through the session and introduce our fantastic lineup of presenters. And before I do that, we're going to go to the next slide. We just do have a couple reminders. And as I said before, about the caption button on the control panel. And then please enter questions and comments in the Q&A window. Comments will be addressed at logical stopping points or at the conclusion of the webinar. Please complete post-webinar survey that will immediately follow the webinar. We would like to know if the information provided was helpful. So welcome everybody, and here's Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. It's been a few years, but from 1997 to 2000, I was the director of the Division of Aging in Missouri. And it was there that I began to learn about assistive technology in the offices that each state have related to assistive technology. And I met my good friend Marty Exline, who you're going to hear from later, when I was doing that kind of work in Missouri. So kind of coming full circle, I wanted you all to know a little bit about my background. I'm a huge fan of collaboration. I do a lot of work now facilitating groups like this, working on projects related to trauma-informed care and helping people understand trauma and resilience. I think that topic comes into play in a lot of arenas that you all work in. It's a root cause of some of the health and mental health issues that people deal with today on a daily basis. And it's just my pleasure to be able to circle back to my huge interest in older adults and that they have the kinds of services and tools that they need to live independently as long as possible. So this collaboration is very important. This project is very important for a lot of us as Jeannie said, as more and more Americans are living longer and needing assistive technology, we need to make sure that each of the sectors, people who work in older adult services and people who work in assistive technology, know about each other, know what's available in their states and local areas, and collaborate as much as possible. So that's what this project is about. I'm just honored to be involved. Um, Let me look at the goals and objectives with you. I think we have those on the next slide, Jamie, maybe. Seems like we put those on a slide. But yes, here are our objectives. So we want to improve awareness and knowledge among Assistive Technology Act programs and the aging related entities, providers who provide services to older Americans. We're going to help you today. You're going to hear from speakers who will sort of give us the landscape around that and help us understand each other's programs and services, funding, et cetera. We want to strengthen collaborations among these AT, Assistive Technology Act programs, and the state and local entities that support older adults in our communities. And then finally, we really want to make sure that we improve access to assistive technology for older adults. So those are the objectives of this Aging PAL, this learning organization. And the next few minutes, we're going to learn a lot at a kind of a 30,000 feet level. And then in subsequent sessions, we'll be working together, all of us, to meet those objectives. So I want to introduce our speakers briefly now. Their bios are available. You'll see on the slide, there's a link to the speaker bios, and they're available on the ATAP website. But we have today Holly Riley, who is the Director of Aging Services for Advancing States. We're going to hear from her first, and then we'll go to Deborah Stonewalls, who is the Chief of Programs and Services at US Aging, which most of you probably know supports the area agencies on aging in our country. Then we'll hear from Emily Neighbors and Heather Marriott, both with the National Council on Aging. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with Arlene Lugo, who is with the Connecticut Assistive Technology Act program. So we're going to hear a lot about aging services in the beginning, some overlap with assistive technology, but we're also going to get that broad view, 30,000 foot view of assistive technology programs from the director of the Connecticut program, Arlene. So with that, I think I've done what I needed to do here, and I'm going to suggest, and Marty, I think you may have some instructions, but we're going to go to a poll. We ask you, it'll come up on your screen. Please fill it out. There are about 7 questions, but it shouldn't take you very long to complete the poll for us. And this will give us some information about you, where you're from, et cetera. If you have any issues with the poll, please put it in the chat that you're not able to see it or something, and we'll see if we can work that out.
I think for the future, when we do polls, we need to have the Jeopardy music playing in the background.
Oh, that's a great idea. Anyone want to try to hum it?
No. Okay, we're beginning to get answers. It took a few minutes for people to complete. So
Okay. We're doing great on time, so we'll give him a few more minutes. Jamie.
Thank you. I'd like people who want to complete have time to complete. And I know everybody wants to complete. And an encouraging word, if you're on the fence about completing the poll, informative information that will help us as we prepare the next sessions, and it will benefit you by sharing your information with us. Benefits you and every participant. So that's my encouraging word.
Thank you. All right. How about if we take one more minute? Will that
We're
suffice, you
at
think, Jamie?
about people are still answering. So
Oh,
can
okay.
I let you know when it sort of lags a little bit?
Yes, please. That'd be great. Okay. Tammy is having trouble with the submit button. Do you have any advice for her, Jamie?
Yeah, Tammy, just send me an email and I'll get you the poll and we'll collect your data that way. Okay, we're at about 71% participants. We're into 3 minutes, so maybe I'll end the poll. I'm at 75%. I'll end the poll in 30 more seconds.
Okay, great.
And it looks like because all of the questions are required, they have to put something into every question. Maybe
That
I
may
make
be
that
the.
clear.
Mhm. So people are suggesting that you put, NA, not applicable, if you don't have a response to the question, and maybe that will help you submit.
Great. Yeah, sorry. Ew. Okay.
We're all learning these newfangled Zoom things.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. If anybody uh, wanted to complete and didn't get to, please put it in the chat and I'll reach out to you afterwards.
Great. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to fill out the poll because I'm learning that ATAP is very big on collecting data and making sure that our programs are serving the needs and the objectives. So it helps us to gather that information from you. Okay, before I introduce our speaker, I'm wondering, Marty, did you have some housekeeping that we needed to cover, or did we get to all of it?
Touched all that.
Okay. So the only thing I want to remind people is, as Jeannie said, if you have questions as a presenter is going through their presentation, please feel free to put your question in the Q&A. We hope we have a little time after each speaker to cover questions. If not, we'll have some time at the end. And if we don't get to the questions at all of the questions at the end, we're going to have the community forum be a place for exchange of information. And we'll talk about that later and how you can engage with that. So let's move on and get started with our learning so that we can all be on the same page with our basic understanding of the Aging Services Network and the AT Services Network. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Holly Riley. She again is the Director of Aging Services for Advancing States, and she's going to tell us what Advancing States is about and give us some little bit of background on aging services. So please, Holly, take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. Everybody can hear me, I hope. As shared, I'm Holly Riley, and I have the pleasure of working for Advancing States. Next slide. We are a member association that represents the nation's 56 officially designated state and territorial agencies on aging and disabilities. The vision for advancing states is that older adults, people with disabilities, and their caregivers have access to the resources they need to live well and thrive in every community. And the how that gets us to that vision is our mission, which is to design, improve, and sustain state systems delivering long-term services and supports for people who are older or have a disability and their caregivers. Our organization supports state leadership, the advancement of innovations in state systems, and the implementation of national policies that support home and community-based services for older adults and people with disabilities. We have a very unique and valuable perspective that's provided to us through our membership of state aging and disability agencies, as well as through our engagement with federal, national, state, and local aging and disability organizations. And we have talent and expertise that is focused on long-term services and supports, home and community-based services, often referred to as HCBS, and policy, financing, and service delivery for older adults and people with disabilities through multiple programs and funding sources like the Older Americans Act that we're going to talk about today, Medicaid, and human service programs. Our membership with states and partners with federal, national, and state organizations contributes to successes that we can all share in. For our state agency members, we provide an array of methods for them to connect with other states and share learning experiences and information exchanges. We provide ongoing technical assistance as they implement federal policies and guidance. And we provide a number of trainings and engagement options to grow their policy and business skills. Thanks to this close relationship that we have with states, we're able to provide the federal agencies we work with state-specific, very timely information on older adults, people with disabilities, and their caregivers that can help them develop informed federal policies and guidance. We have robust partnerships with other aging and disability agencies and associations to support each other's efforts and realize shared visions that we have. And at the heart of all of our work is older adults, people with disabilities, and their caregivers. Through our work in collaboration with member states, federal agencies, and the aging and disability networks, we enhance and strengthen their ability to live in their communities and have access to needed services, supports, and opportunities. Next slide. Our technical assistance, the policy support and leadership to states that we provide is categorized in the following areas: community integration, organizational effectiveness, health and welfare, consumer access, quality outcomes, caregiving and workforce, service access, and health and wellness. And it is in this category where our work in the Older Americans Act takes place. And today I'm going to provide a high level, that 30,000-foot view of the Older Americans Act. Next slide. The act was passed in 1965 as part of President Johnson's Great Society platform. This platform also saw the creation of Medicare, Medicaid, and other federal investments in areas such as rural development, anti-poverty, anti-hunger, transportation, housing, environmental protections, and arts and education. In the first half of the 20th century, the average American lifespan increased from around 46 years of age in 1900, to nearly 70 years of age by 1950. The population had also more than doubled from 76 million in 1900 to more than 180 million in 1960. So Congress passed the act in response to policymakers' concerns regarding the lack of community as social services for this large and growing population of older Americans. Many of those programs from that time remain, including the Older Americans Act, which celebrated its 60th birthday last year. The original legislation, the Older Americans Act, established authority for grants to states for community planning and social services, research and development projects, and personal training in the field of aging. The law also established the Administration on Aging, AOA, to administer the newly created grant programs and serve as federal focal point on matters concerning older adults. The OAA really creates this nationwide infrastructure of state, local, national responsibilities, often referred to as the Aging Network. Next slide. The services provided through the Older Americans Act are available to all individuals over 60 years of age. However, services are prioritized to older adults with the greatest economic and social needs, with particular attention to low-income older adults, low-income minority older adults with limited English proficiency, older adults residing in rural areas, older adults with disabilities, older adults with Alzheimer's disease or dementia, and people at risk for institutional placement. The family caregiver also is provided with services through the Older Americans Act. Next slide. The Act is broken into 7 titles. Title I is the declaration of the Act and its goals. Title II establishes the Administration on Aging to implement and oversee the Older Americans Act. Title III is the grants to states and what establishes really the Aging Network. The majority of services provided through state units on aging, also known as state agencies on aging and the area agencies on aging, are funded and guided through this title. 75% of the Older Americans Act funding goes to Title III services, which includes supportive services. This is often called Title IIIB. And this includes transportation, information assistance and referral, case management, homemaker chore services, legal services, adult day centers, that sort of thing. It also includes nutrition services, so congregate and home delivered meals. This is known as Title IIIC. It funds disease prevention and health promotion, Title IIID. If you're familiar with evidence-based programming, local community centers, senior centers, fall prevention, chronic disease self-management, these are disease prevention and health promotions programming. And then there's Title IIIE, which is support to family caregivers. Title IV supports training, research, and demonstration projects in the field of aging. Next slide. Continuing on with our titles, Title V provides funding for a community services and work-based job training program for older Americans. This is known as the Senior Community Service Employment Program, or CSEP. CSEP provides training for low-income, unemployed older adults, and it is administered through the Department of Labor. Title VI provides grants to tribes and organizations serving older Native Americans. It funds nutrition, supportive, and caregiver services specifically for older American Indians, Alaska Natives, and Native Hawaiians. That's delivered through the Title VI grantees to offer culturally relevant assistance similar to Title III, but tailored for these Indigenous communities. And then Title VII supports programs that work to prevent elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation, and establishes the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program, which protects the rights of people who live in nursing homes. Next slide. So I've talked about the Aging Network. Broadly described, it refers to the agencies, programs, and activities that are established and sponsored by the Older Americans Act. At the federal level is the Administration on Aging. That is within the Administration for Community Living, ACL. And ACL is an operating division of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. At the state and local levels, there are 56 state agencies on aging, also known as state units on aging, almost 620 area agencies on aging, around 280 Indian, tribal, and Native Hawaiian organizations, and nearly 20,000 service provider organizations, and then thousands, countless thousands of volunteers out there as well. Advancing States works with all these federal, state, and local organizations, and our association members are those state agencies on aging. So we've developed a really close, direct relationship with them. Some of the roles and responsibilities of the state agencies on aging include strategic planning, which has them developing multi-year state plans on aging. These plans are a requirement of the Older Americans Act, and they must be informed by local area plans that the AAAs develop. They're responsible for setting the state's policies for Older Americans Act programs, as well as the administration and monitoring of the funding and operations of the local area agencies on aging that deliver the services. State agencies on aging also play a strategic role in building communities' capacity to help meet the needs. They do this through a variety of methods, including designing and developing partnerships, these strategic partnerships, volunteer and community intergenerational opportunities, and programs and services that support aging and align with the Older Americans Act. State aging agencies are also educators and advocates for the rights and needs of older adults. Next slide. We're going to talk a little about some of the ways that the state assistive technology organizations can engage with their state aging agencies. That includes providing input on policies pertaining to older adults and people with disabilities, as well as input on that state plan on aging that I was just talking about, and other strategic plans like multi-sector plans on aging. As I just mentioned, the state plan on aging is a requirement of the Older Americans Act. They're typically a 4-year plan, and they're required to be informed by the AAA area plans. States may also establish stakeholder groups to inform their state plans on aging, and there is a required public comment period before the plan is sent to ACL. Many states are now developing multi-sector plans on aging. These plans set a long-term vision strategy to transform policies and service for the older adults and people with disabilities in their communities. They typically have a longer plan cycle of around 10 years, and they bring together diverse sectors like healthcare, housing, transportation, social services to improve the coordination of services and address the needs of the aging demographic. Both the multi-sector plans and the state plans on aging benefit from the expertise of their stakeholders and offer a practical method for engaging with the state unit on aging. State agency advisory committees are another method to partner with your state unit on aging. Through these advisory bodies, the state assistive technology organizations can provide subject matter expertise and represent the populations that you serve. State units on aging also have a wealth of expertise and knowledge. So if you have an advisory committee, I encourage you to include them on your advisory committee. Another way to engage with the state unit on aging could be through legislation or a formal agreement. When I worked for my previous job, I worked for the Texas State Unit on Aging. My office was assigned a bill to research vision loss in older adults and the resources available. And it's through that engagement that I met up with the Texas Technology Assistive Access Program, TTAP. I saw my friend Anita's online here. And over the years, that relationship has really grown. TTAP is on HHS advisory bodies and provides input on states' planning and policy efforts. It has always been a great partnership. One other method for engaging with your state unit on aging is through education, outreach, and marketing. I think you could collaborate on an outreach campaign that highlights each other's services and resources, or develop a speaking calendar with the state and local events, conferences, legislative opportunities to co-present and showcase your partnership and your shared vision. State agencies on aging and state assistive technology organizations are all working towards a shared goal of supporting people to live independently with safety and purpose. And I encourage you to connect with your state agency on aging to identify areas for collaboration. I think up next is my friend Deborah with US Aging. She's going to share with you the operations of the area agencies on aging and how to collaborate with them. Thank you again for this opportunity to talk with you today. I look forward to your questions and comments.
Thank you, Holly. That was great. And I hope people got some new information out of that presentation that will help you collaborate together. So let's go now to Deborah Stonewalls with US Aging. And I want to remind you again, everyone, that if you have questions as Deborah is speaking, please put those in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to those after she's finished. So without further ado, Deborah, take it away.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Holly, for setting that up so well. I'll be speeding through some of my slides. But I'm Deborah Stonewalls. I'm Chief of Programs and Services at U.S. Aging. And U.S. Aging is the membership organization for the area agencies on aging across America. So we represent the AAAs. We also advocate on behalf of the AAAs as well as the Title VI Native American programs. So our whole reason for existing is to support and assist area agencies on aging and subsequently the consumers that they all serve, and Title VI as well. Next slide, please. So we know that we are an aging nation. We're going to have a 67% increase between 2019 and 2040 of our population of folks 65 or over. We also know that older adults sometimes acquire disabilities as they age, and that people with disabilities, very fortunately, are experiencing longer lifespans. So this area of assisted technology is critical now and in the future. Next slide, please. Of all of our aging folks, we also know that 90% of adults say that they want to age at home. They don't want to age in an institution or a facility. They want to be at home. So in fact, we know that over 96% of older adults do live at home. Less than 4% live in a nursing home facility. So because that's important, as Holly mentioned, the vehicle that exists, the mechanism that allows us all to age in place is the National Aging Network. Next slide, please. And the National Aging Network helps older adults to remain at home. The overall mission of Aging Network, whether you're a local service provider or state, is really to help create that comprehensive, coordinated system of home and community-based services, and to be that access point for long-term supports and services. Next slide, please. My schemata looks a little different than Holly's, but it's the same information. It all starts with the federal government, then moves to state units on aging, area agencies on aging, then local service providers, and we have the tribes, the Title VI aging programs that also utilize local service providers. So this is just a schemata that demonstrates how this whole network kind of flows. Next slide, please. There are today 613 AAA serving older adults in virtually every community in the nation. In about 7 states, they're relatively small, sparsely populated. The state unit does serve as that area agency on aging function. But as Holly mentioned, the Older Americans Act is the foundation for all AAAs. But the law also calls for this local control and decision-making. Holly mentioned that the state plans must be informed by the area agency on aging plans. And that's because the AAAs adapt their plans to the unique demands of their communities so that they can provide services and programs in such a manner that meet the local flavor the local culture, that meet their local community needs. Next slide, please. And this one we'll just kind of flash through. It's just the signing of the Older Americans Act. Holly covered that well, so we'll move on to the next slide. This one just shows some of the major amendments. One incredible thing about the Older Americans Act is we do have the opportunity to adapt it as our world changes. So these are just some key major amendments and what those amendments accomplished. Next slide. Regardless of the size of the AAA or the governance, all AAAs perform these 5 core services, again, with that local flexibility. There is nothing one size fits all about the ways that AAAs offer these services, but each AAA does offer nutrition, supportive services, caregiver support and assistance, health and wellness programs, and elder rights. Next slide, please. I'm going to dig a little deeper into the Title IIIB supportive services. Basically, it's in-home help with living. Some things that aren't on this slide are friendly visiting, but generally area agencies on aging use this Title IIIB funding to support the types of services that you see on your screen. Next slide. They also use Title IIIB to support a very critical function, which is information referral and assistance. Every AAA provides this level of assistance to the folks living in their planning and service area. And oftentimes, folks don't call until they're kind of in crisis, but when they do call, this is a critical function of the AAAs. Next slide, please. Holly mentioned C, D, and E. This kind of gives a picture of some of those Title IIIC services, all the nutrition, Title IIID, the evidence-based disease prevention, and then Title IIIE, the National Family Caregiver Support Program. Next slide, please. In addition, Holly mentioned these, but I will point out on this slide, senior community service employment, the Native American programs, and elder rights. All AAAs do engage in elder abuse prevention and provide some legal services. The AAA engagement in these 3 titles varies according to the specific planning and service area, but all AAAs do coordinate in some way with the entities. They either administer these titles themselves, or they coordinate very closely with other local agencies that are providing, and it's often a Title VI program or even the state unit on aging. Next slide, please. AAAs, again, serve communities. The local community is the focus of the AAA. And even though they may look different in various states, they tap into these funding streams. They take on additional roles besides those 5 core services. Yet again, all AAAs are responsible to assess the community needs, to educate and provide direct assistance, to serve as portals to care via assessments or eligibility determinations, to maximize the use of public and private funding to serve as many consumers as possible, and to develop, fund, and coordinate a wide range of services. So although they may look slightly different, again, we come down to the fact that AAAs are all charged with some very, very common and critical baseline services and areas of focus. Next slide, please. This has been changing in the last few years, but basically right now, as of last year, I think, our survey indicated that 43% of the existing AAAs are independent nonprofits, and my time is up, so I better hurry. 56% are some sort of government-based entity. Next slide, please. In addition to the core services, most AAAs also serve as ADRCs, and most also serve as state health insurance assistance programs for their local areas. Next slide, please. 88% of AAAs also serve consumers under the age of 60. This slide shows you how that breaks down, but you'll notice that 71% actually serve individuals under the age of 60 that have a disability or some sort of chronic serious illness. So coordination with ATAP is extremely critical for AAAs because most of them do serve individuals that may need some sort of assistance technology help. Next slide, please. To serve these populations, AAAs do rely on a variety of non-Older Americans Act sources of federal funds. They also rely on state funds, local government funds, philanthropic funds, and many operate through contracting with healthcare providers. Next slide, please. An easy way, if you want to reach out to your AAA, you can either contact US Aging or go on eldercare.acl.gov. Next slide, please. Or contact our National Elder Care Locator call center. We can help get you connected to the local AAA. I will say that the Elder Care Locator also provides information about local resources for assistive technology. So when anyone calls calls Elder Care Locator and asks about assistive technology needs, we do connect them to the local source. And with that, I will wrap up my overview. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Deborah. So that nicely folded in to what we were hearing earlier from Holly. So I hope all of you who are participating today are getting some of how the Aging Network fits together and then what programs they serve. Thank you so much. So we're going to, I don't see any questions in the Q&A at this point, so I'm going to remind you again, if you're participating, it's okay to put some questions in the Q&A. We will entertain those and have our presenters answer them. Now we're going to hear from the National Council on Aging. And first, I think we're going to have Emily Neighbors give us a little bit of information. She's the Associate Director of Innovation for NCOA. And then we'll hear from Heather Marriott. And then I think Emily comes back for a minute too, right? So we'll hear from all of you. And thank you. Reminder, participants, please put your questions in the Q&A.
Great. Thanks so much, Andrea. Thanks to ATAP for having us here today. And we can move to the next slide. The National Council on Aging is the national voice for every person's right to age well. Working with thousands of national and local partners for more than 75 years, NCOA provides resources, tools, best practices, and advocacy to ensure every person can age with health and financial security. Our focus areas include falls and chronic disease management and prevention, physical and behavioral health, benefits enrollment, job training and employment, and more. A key aspect of what we do is providing technical assistance to build the capacity of organizations that received federal funding, often from the Administration for Community Living, to offer evidence-based falls prevention and chronic disease self-management programs under Title 3D, which we just heard about. Our work involves organizations and agencies across the aging, disability, health, and housing sectors, and we're excited to highlight some of those groups today. I'm going to pass it now to Heather, who will discuss our work with senior centers.
Thank you, Emily. Next slide, please. All right. So I'm going to talk about the National Institute of Senior Centers, also known as NISC, which is our national network for senior center professionals. So NISC has been around for more than 50 years, and it's the nation's only membership network specifically for senior centers. We currently have more than 2,700 members. But that is, as you can see, only a piece of the pie. We've got this map here that shows you how many members we have in each of the states. And while we're so glad that there are no states that we don't have any members, we're always looking to expand that. It's estimated that there are more than 10,000 senior centers across the United States. While that's hard to define, because those of you who know senior centers know that they come in all forms. The members in our network have access to many resources, and we work really hard to connect them with each other as well. Next slide, please. So there are many ways that we engage senior centers. We hosted a 2023 scan of senior center administrators and community stakeholders that revealed some important findings on challenges and opportunities that are facing today's senior centers. Among the main themes that emerged from that were trends in staffing and leadership, funding challenges, the impact of technology on programming, and of course, the ongoing impact from COVID-19. They also found an opportunity to be the NCOA's National Institute of Senior Centers and our role with the way that senior centers work across the nation. This has impacted the ways that we engage our senior center partners, the types of education and networking opportunities that we present. And we continue to collect information from our senior center networks through in-depth surveying about who they're serving, what takes place at their centers, and how they operate. Next slide, please. Annually, NCOA hosts a National Senior Center Month. We develop a theme that we share with our partners, and we share a program guide, a publicity guide, and social media toolkits to go along with this theme. It's encouraging senior centers to host events within their communities, whether those are in person or just through online. And so we always share resources to connect them with each other and to ensure that they can have a successful month. Next slide, please. An important part of the work that we do with senior centers is advocating on behalf of the needs of senior centers. We have a monthly leadership collaborative meeting with representatives from senior centers across the United States. During those calls, we always ask for updates from the field with needs and opportunities that can align with our advocacy efforts on the Hill. Through this partnership, NCOA's advocacy work is responsive to the ever-changing needs and concerns of our senior center partners. We have brought our senior center partners to the Hill to talk about the importance of the Older Americans Act, which we've heard a lot about already today, and to talk about how it impacts their programming and operations. We also bring them to speak at our national conference every year. We do site visits to the centers so that we can share their stories at the national level. And we've even had some federal funding partners visit senior centers alongside NCOA. Next slide, please. All right, and so we host regular webinars, including senior center summits, covering different topics that have been identified by our senior center network. We have programs of excellence highlighting all the different types of programs, the top in different categories that are presented each year. And we host many opportunities for networking for these senior center professionals, including small group discussions around affinity groups. We have a regular newsletter that we share and a specific track within our conference for senior center professionals. And I will now hand it back to Emily.
Great. Thanks, Heather. So I wanted to start off this section with a little bit of context. Sorry, next slide, please. We heard what Deborah Stonewall said regarding the majority of people want to stay in the homes and communities of their choice as they age. But the problem is that housing does not really support aging. Most homes were not built with features that support individuals' ability to do their daily activities, such as cooking or bathing. With fewer than 4% of US residential units suitable for people with moderate mobility disabilities, and less than 1% that are wheelchair accessible. Additionally, more than half of all falls among older adults age 65 and older happen in the home. So home modification, home and community-based services, including aging services and assistive technology, are especially important for aging in place or aging in community. Next slide. For years, NCOA has fostered and supported state falls prevention coalitions to address these and other falls risks. There are 45 active and in development state falls prevention coalitions across the country that bring many groups to the table to address falls. And I've included the link to connect with your state falls prevention coalition on this slide. And we can also put it in the chat in a moment. Next slide. We wanted to give an overview of who is involved in these coalitions. I won't go over all of them, but wanted to include that so you can go back and look over the slides later. But all of these groups can serve as partners when you're in a coalition. I organize these by sector, and you can see state assistive technology programs. They often have medical equipment closets, home modification programs. They offer assistive technology and devices, demonstration centers, and support to obtain the technology and devices. Thank you, Heather, for putting the link in the chat. Next slide. And sharing what coalitions do. Here's a list of common coalition activities. So many work to raise awareness on the issue, identify community or state needs, act as a central hub to access information and services, and improve overall service delivery and coordination, including referrals. Next slide. I wanted to share another comment about referrals. They can go both ways. So your programs can receive referrals from these common coalition members, and you can refer to these groups when your client's needs go beyond the services that you provide. Next slide. Yes, coalition membership can take time and investment. There are many different forms of time of membership and participation that you could engage in. But sharing a few benefits of coalition engagement. Individual benefits include networking, developing new skills, even educating other members on the value of the services you provide. Organizational benefits include building partnerships that can help you expand your reach and impact and learning about new funding and other opportunities. And community benefits include improved community health and well-being and streamlined services that align with your community's needs. So again, the link to Find Your State Coalition is in the chat and on slide 9. Coalitions typically accept new members on an ongoing basis and are happy to share more information with you. Next slide. That is what we have today. Thank you so much for having us here, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Heather. And I actually think we do have a question for you all. So Marty said he was going to read the questions in the Q&A, so I'll have him read the question and see if either one of you would like to give us an answer, please.
This might be a question for the end too. I mean, the question is, if most homes are not designed to support aging in place, do you see technology, especially AI-driven companions and digital support tools, as a complementary layer to help older adults safely remain at home? And then also ask about whether our organization is open to piloting those kinds of solutions alongside housing and community-based interventions. And just, I'll take a shot at answering your question. Yes, certainly, technology and AI-driven technology, which is becoming more and more prevalent, I think certainly is going to be an important element of helping people stay independent in their homes and communities. And I'll let anybody else jump in that would care to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I concur, Marty, and also like smart home technology that just makes daily activities easier can really complement other services. And we're seeing a trend at NCOA. There's a lot of interest in those categories, in those topics. It used to be kind of more straightforward, falls prevention and home modification, but media outlets and others are contacting us to get more information about technology and AI-driven technology.
So just to build on that, Emily, so the state coalitions now, some of them or maybe all of them are starting to look at that AI technology and how it might assist. There's not a barrier to that, I think is what I'm hearing you say.
I wouldn't necessarily say that all of the coalitions are that's part of their work, but definitely some are, and there are also a number of AAAs that are leaders in getting this, it is cutting edge technology. It used to kind of be a thing of the future, but getting this into the hands of people who could benefit from it. I think that coalitions that are not currently involved in it may very well be interested in exploring that with partners.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thanks, Marty. And we're going to go on now to our next speaker, but this may be a topic that we want to engage in a little bit more as we go into other sessions of the cohort, right? So thank you very much. Next speaker. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit, right? We've heard a lot about the Aging Services Network, state units on aging, the AAAs, area agencies on aging, the senior centers, and a lot of other programs related to the Older Americans Act. Now we're going to switch and look at Assistive Technology Act programs. And we have Arlene Lugo with us, who's with the Connecticut Technical Assistant Project. So she can give us from a state level what these assistive technology offices are doing. So Arlene, I'm going to turn it over to you. And again, remind people you can put your questions in the Q&A.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So my name is Arlene Lugo. I'm the program director for the Connecticut Tech Act project, which is what we call our Assistive Technology Act program, which is a part of our Department of Aging and Disability Services here in Connecticut. Next slide, please. So just to give a overview of what the AT Act programs are, essentially, the AT Act is a law in the US that provides funding to states and US territories to support programs that help to increase the availability of, access to, and acquisition of assistive technology devices and services for people with disabilities. I do want to note that that does include older adults where maybe they don't consider themselves as having a disability, but maybe functioning with some limitations. They might have hearing loss, they might have vision loss, cognitive difficulties, balance and mobility issues, other functional limitations that present as a disability. So we do serve both people with disabilities and older adults. Next slide, please. Funny that somebody mentioned the AI companion robots. In this picture, you'll see an older woman interacting happily with an LEQ, which is a companion robot. I just had to mention that that was on the photo. The primary purpose of the AT Act programs is to help people with disabilities of all ages and those who are aging into disability to more fully participate in education, employment, and daily activities, really all areas of life, by providing them with the tools and services that they need to be more independent, but also to age in place and safely remain in their community of choice. Next slide, please. So what is assistive technology? These definitions do come from the 21st Century Assistive Technology Act. And assistive technology is any item or piece of equipment, whether it's acquired commercially, for example, going into the Apple store to buy an iPad, or is modified or customized, such as a power wheelchair that has to be customized to a person's specific needs, but is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities for a person with a disability or older adult. And a service, an assistive technology service, is any service that directly assists that person with a disability or older adult in selecting, acquiring, and using that AT device. So that could include evaluating their needs, matching them to the right device, providing training, setting up the equipment, and so on. Next slide, please. So as we said in the beginning, every state and US territory has an AT Act program, and we all provide these core services. We may offer them a little bit differently, but we are responsible for providing device demonstrations, which is really an opportunity for a person to interact with the device, put hands on it, and see if the device will meet their needs and make that informed choice. We provide device lending, which is essentially what it sounds like. They take that device, borrow it for a few weeks, and determine if the device is going to function in the way we thought it would. So we know upfront if it's going to meet their needs before anybody makes that purchase. We provide device reutilization, which is reusing equipment, gently used items like durable medical equipment, wheelchairs. It could even be tablets are donated, given to our programs. They're refurbished, sanitized, make sure they're in good working order, and then provided to people who need it, sometimes for free, sometimes for a small fee, depending on each program's needs. And we do alternate financing, which is an opportunity to help a person obtain that device through funding sources, whether it's through a low interest loan, guaranteed buy down of various alternate financing programs that each state offers to help that person get that device that they need or want. In addition to these core services, we do also provide important information and assistance, training, public awareness, and technical assistance to entities as well. Next slide, please. So we have this flow chart that was created by ATAP, which really the intent is to show how participating in our services should flow from reaching out to us and getting that information and assistance assistance, moving on to the device demonstration, making a choice to say, I think this device will work for me, and then hopefully borrowing it and using it in that environment of need, whether it's school, work, or at home. And then helping the person to obtain that device, whether it's through our reutilization programs, state financing, or other programs that we might have to offer. Next slide, please. So essentially, the ATAC programs are here to help increase awareness about assistive technology, devices, and services, provide access to those devices through demonstrations, loans, or reuse programs, and help individuals acquire those devices that they need, whether it's through our financing options, grant funding, and other support. We offer training and technical assistance to use devices and to help people understand the benefits of AT for all individuals, including families, professional, educators, and so on. Next slide. And so specifically in Connecticut, to give you an example of how an AT program might work, this is our mission. And that's myself and my one staff person, Muriel, pictured there. Our goal is to increase independence and improve the lives of people with disabilities and older adults by increasing access to AT devices for work, school, and community living. And next slide, please. And we do this in Connecticut through ourselves, myself and Muriel. We operate lending programs and our financial loan program. But in Connecticut, we also contract out with our community partner agencies, which are listed here. Because we are such a small program, we consider our partner agencies as extensions of who we are. And these agencies are located across our state. They provide device demo, they do lending, they do reuse, and they do so much more around assistive technology for all ages of life. They can go into people's homes and assess for AT for aging in place, safety, fall prevention. They provide trainings. And really, this is the core program here in Connecticut that can help our people with disabilities and older adults in our state. So if you're on this call and in this webinar and you're from Connecticut, you can reach out to me or any one of these agencies for assistance. Next slide, please. In terms of AT and aging, assistive technology, if you think about the definition, any item that can help to increase functioning is so broad. It really can be any item that helps adults to be safe, to be independent, to age in place, to socialize and communicate and enjoy recreation, educational learning, and just participate in their communities and access telehealth, which is huge now. One thing I always say is it's an individualized approach. What works for one older adult may not work for another. We always want to include families, friends, and support people in this process of helping to identify the right device for that person. And I always tell people who approach us for assistance is we're not expecting you to become the experts in what's available and what's going to work for your family member or for yourself. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We know what's out there. We keep our fingers on the pulse of the technology that's coming, what's trending, what's new, what's working, and what doesn't work. And so we ask you to rely on us. That's what we're here for in each state and U.S. territory, to help you find the right device for the person you're either working with or for a family member or friend. Next slide, please. In Connecticut, since 2020, when COVID hit, we've worked closely with our Bureau on Aging. We happen to be under the same State Department of Aging and Disability Services, so that helps. But we never really collaborated. But through CARES funding, we stood up a program called Stay Connected to help reach isolated individuals and older adults. And that morphed into a program called Bridging the Digital Divide, with a different funding source through our Public Health Workforce Funds and Older Americans Act funds and ARPA funding. We developed a program that sent our community AT partners into people's homes to help them find the right technology that they need to access telehealth, to stay connected with family and friends, to order groceries from home, and train them on how to use it, and specifically also to use those accessibility features that are built in. That program just ended last year, but we're really hoping to get funding to resurrect it because we've served so many people, but we still know there's a huge gap in bridging that divide and keeping people connected. Next slide, please. We talked briefly about AI companion robots and smart home technology in Connecticut past fall. We opened a smart home assessment center through one of our partner agencies, which is a place where people can come. It's completely outfitted with smart home technology, adaptive equipment, and assistive tech for people to see what's available out there, try it out, borrow it, and then make that decision as to whether or not it's the right device for them. So we're excited about this smart home, and we have another one that's being built a little bit further down the state. So again, just giving access across the state to our community members. Next slide, please. And essentially, the ATAC programs, we're here to help. We're available in each state and U.S. territory. We work with people with disabilities of all ages, including aging adults and their family members. And we're here to raise awareness, offer direct hands-on demonstrations, device lending, training, and much more. What we offer in Connecticut may vary from what your state offers. So I encourage you to reach out to your state. Actually, next slide, please. Reach out to your state, see what they have to offer, and see if they can help. In Connecticut, this is my contact information. That's my website. And anyone is welcome to subscribe to our newsletter where you can learn about new technology that's coming out, programs and services that we offer here in Connecticut. And next slide, please. And then you can use this link, whether you use the QR code or when you get the slide, click on the link to reach out and find out what is the ATAC program that's available in your state. And that's all I have. Thank you all for listening. Oh, and thank you, Jeannie, for putting the link there for the AT3 Center. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Arlene. That was helpful. Thank you so much. And I didn't realize that your agency and the Bureau on Aging were under the same umbrella in your state. I'm wondering how often that occurs. It's very interesting dynamic. So could lead to more collaboration, we would hope.
Absolutely.
I know that there are some questions in the Q&A, Marty, and also we're at the time when we set some time aside to ask questions of any of the panelists. So I'm going to see maybe our panelists will come back on the screen, and Marty is going to ask some questions from the Q&A. Marty, I'll let you sort of decide who gets the first shot at the question, but it may be something that other panelists will want to try to answer too. So,
yeah, well, let me this first one, and feel free anybody that wants to jump in, and it's definitely something that I think our next session too is gonna fall on that. It's one of the biggest barriers for older adults, especially to using AI tech, is getting it set up and managing any issues or troubleshooting, since many older individuals are not able to figure those things out themselves, or even some younger individuals. I had that. What can we do to improve our capacity for individual technical assistance for things like that? Or are there any organizations that specialize with that kind of assistance?
I'd love to answer that one. So yeah, I think, in Connecticut, we addressed that issue through our Bridging the Digital Divide program, where we went out and met individually with people in need to provide them with that training, to get them set up, to help them not only pick the right device, set up the device, train them on how to use the device, and then set up those accessibility features, whether it's, magnification or adding a visual alert instead of an audio alert, depending on their needs. Unfortunately, it was limited. We reached over 800 individuals in a 2.5-year time, but we know there's so many more that need that assistance. Part of that program in Connecticut, anyway, was also reaching out to entities, libraries, senior centers, residential housing, to help train up their staff to build their capacity so they could also support their populations. Because I think that's a big thing. We can't serve everybody in our state, and we're a small state, so the bigger states, yikes. But we were trying to help build up that capacity, so centers for independent living and area agencies on aging as well, so that they could help to serve the population. It's huge, but it is so important and it's so necessary.
And I'll add to that, if I may, Marty. Thank you, Arlene. Um, we saw this really to come to a head with COVID and needing an email to even sign up to get that first round of vaccinations. And what we saw across the country, I happened to be a AAA director at that time. We saw a lot of partnering between youth service groups such as Key Clubs or National Honor Society. So I think we have an army of young people that are very tech savvy across America, and we could help influence some of these partnerships between libraries, area agencies on aging, senior centers, and some of these youth service groups that have to fulfill community service hours to be a part of that group and to sometimes meet college entrance expectations. So that seems to be a relatively untapped resource for all of us.
Thank you, Deborah. And doesn't that also bring to mind that those intergenerational relationships can really assist older people, as they might tend to be more and more isolated and not have that connection. So that's a really great potential for more collaboration. Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on that question that Marty asked before we go on to another question? Okay. And remember, this is your chance to ask questions of this esteemed panel. So please put your questions in the Q&A. Marty, go ahead, please.
Yeah, this next one's a great question too. What outreach do you do to family members who may have parents who want to age in place, or to help these family members learn how to keep their parents safely at home? I mean, we always say, nobody needs to know or wants to know about assistive technology till they need assistive technology. So that's a good question. Anybody want to address that one?
Well, I can address it, Marty. I mean, I formerly worked for the North Dakota program just a year ago, as a matter of fact, and we saw a great many. In fact, probably the majority of the people that came to our demonstration centers are people who are aging, and it's sometimes it's the many times it's the older adult children that are bringing them there to get their questions answered. And so it's a great place to start. And many times the ATAC programs also are connected, in their state with other services too. Sometimes they do start with us and we're getting them set up. And so that's interesting because they didn't know about the other service, and sometimes it's the other way around. So it's why it's so important to have these partnerships.
I would also add that in Connecticut, we're part of our 211 info line. So if states, can get their ATAC programs or other programs onto their info line, we get a lot of calls through there. And we're under so many different categories to assist. So that's one of the big ways that we do outreach.
I would also add it's slightly different from the question, but some false prevention coalitions will engage the grandchildren of older adults. And there are false prevention products like coloring books and kind of more basic educational tools that coalitions will share with grandchildren. And then, the grandchildren are excited to share what they learned and bring home the information. So it's somewhat related.
That's great. Anyone else on that question? Okay, Marty, do we have another question?
I think the next one, can you share how state AT programs and organizations set up financial agreements to collaborate? I say either contact ATAP, us, or contact your state assistive technology program and talk with them to the directors there, and they can certainly, I know they'd be more than happy to talk to folks. And then the next question, how do various states build the waiver programs for AT devices and services? I'm not sure exactly what they're getting at. Of course, most all states have home and community-based waiver programs where they do provide some types of assistive technology that aren't necessarily medically necessary, but are necessary to help people from having to enter in institutional care, to keep them home. And that's definitely something we do have. We're going to have a site on our website just to kind of goes through each of the waivers and what they cover, what the name of the service is. In most cases, it's assisted technology services or specialized medical equipment. There's just a variety of services or home access modifications. So there's a variety of services that can cover assistive technology for people who are eligible, who without that care might be entering and have to go to a nursing home or some other care facility.
Very good. Whoops, do we see another question in the chat? Oh, something about Oklahoma waivers now cover some assistive technology and remote support services under the waiver. It's been monumental. Excellent.
And there
So
have been,
go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say there have absolutely been assisted technology programs that have been involved in helping craft those waivers and making sure that the definitions meet what the needs are. We were involved with that in Missouri, so that's something that definitely is something to be involved with also.
Yeah, good point. I'd like to ask the panelist, is there anything, having heard your colleagues present, is there anything you want to go back and touch on or add to or make sure we don't forget as we're moving forward with this peer action learning group? Anything come to mind as you were listening to your colleagues?
I'm always so impressed when I get to work with and hear from my colleagues on all that they're doing. And just I would reinforce that we're all interconnected and we work together to support states and local communities at all the levels. So we hope that you'll, I'm going to speak for all of us, reach out to us where we can help support you in this relationship building.
Yeah,
Thank
Holly,
you, Holly.
I had that same thought too about how connected we all are and how it we not only need each other, but so much of what we do naturally flows together, and it's quite a team to be a part of, actually. Quite a privilege.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, we are down to our last 5 minutes. Let me check the Q&A real quick. Oh, something about fraud prevention here. How does fraud prevention play into the design of AT programs? Does somebody want to cover that?
I can mention, because it goes on to say, is that advanced digital literacy? And yeah, definitely when we were running the Bridging the Digital Divide program, part of our training included teaching seniors about phishing, scams, and even touching on AI and how realistic AI can seem and how to be aware. So we provided fact sheets around the pros of AI and the cautions around, things that could come up. So, again, it's a huge topic. We touched on it. I'm sure we didn't resolve all the questions that somebody might have around those topics, but it's something we were very conscientious about teaching. If we're going to put somebody online, we want them to be aware about what they might be seeing and how to handle that.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. Marty, I think you had a few last minute instructions. I wanted to say one more thing to everyone, that our next session, which Marty will cover in February, we're going to do a session on barriers and needs of older adults related to assistive technology. And we're going to do a little different format. So we're going to ask those of you who join us for that one to participate in some breakout rooms and have some discussions with us. So you might want to be thinking about what does your organization, your state know about the needs or barriers of older adults in your area? Maybe you've done some needs assessments. Maybe you have some particular surveys that you'd like to mention as we go through those discussions at the February session. And I'll let Marty give us the details on the next sessions and a few last minute housekeeping wrap up.
Yeah, jump to the next slide. Yeah, so like Andrea mentioned, the next session is going to be on needs and barriers to AT for older adults. I think today's session was so good on, like everybody said, kind of giving a very high level overview of services and what organizations do. And for the next sessions, we want to get into some more details, some more specifics about access to AT and partnerships. Um, we will send out the slides to everyone. One thing that there will be a different links sent out, different links to the sessions from the ones that were sent out for the following session. So everybody that registered will get a link, the correct link to each individual session. And the only other thing I want to mention is the Aging Pal Community Forum site. We'll be using that to kind of explore different issues, provide resources. So when you get the slides, definitely sign up for the community forum. If you want to actually receive emails when somebody asks a question or enters something in the forum, then you'll be able to be notified about that discussion and participate in it. And with that, can you think of anything else, Jeannie?
Think so, but this was so informative for me, and I hope it was for you. And
I'm
did you
sorry,
want
did we
to?
mention
Oh, go
the
ahead.
switch to Webinars Plus?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry.
We're switching to a different platform, and you'll be getting new links to our next session. And with that, Andrea, do you want to sign them off?
Sure. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to our panelists for great presentations and great information, to those of you who participated on the webinar today, those of you who may listen to the recording of it later. We really appreciate your participation and your interest in this topic, in making sure that older Americans do have the access they need to assistive technology, and that is going to be possible and is possible now out of the collaborations that exist among these partnering groups. So thank you. We are going to close, and as we do, there will be a poll. This one's only 2 questions. A survey poll will come to you in a separate tab. You'll also get it tomorrow, I think, in a thank you email that ATAP will be sending out. So please take the time to give us your feedback on those 2 questions, because it's really important to us that these sessions are valuable. So I think that's it, Jeannie, unless you have a parting comment.
No, I'm just really looking forward to seeing all the great partnerships that come from these 6 sessions and beyond. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank you,
good
Carolyn.
evening.
Bye-bye.